The night poured over the city like a thick veil of shadows, draping the streets in an impenetrable darkness. Fog slithered between the old buildings, whispering secrets into the ears of those still daring to walk at that hour. In a secluded alley on the edge of the city's oldest district, a lone figure moved with steady steps, heels echoing against the damp cobblestone. Her name was Lilith, a woman of hypnotic beauty, like something out of a romantic painting from another century. Her skin was pale as marble under the moonlight, framed by cascading waves of fiery red hair that reached the middle of her back. Her lips, painted a deep crimson, were pure temptation, and her coal-lined eyes seemed to devour the darkness around her. She wore a black lace corset that hugged her figure, revealing a glimpse of her neckline, an inviting abyss. A torn tulle skirt draped over her thighs, paired with fishnet stockings that clung to her legs like cobwebs. Her hands, gloved in black velvet, were tucked into the pockets of a long coat, and a choker with a cameo pendant adorned her neck, resting just above the place where her pulse beat steadily. Lilith adored the night. To her, darkness was not something to fear, but a refuge, a silent lover that embraced her with its cold touch. That night, she walked without a destination, searching for something, though even she didn't know what. Perhaps a fleeting encounter, perhaps a knowing glance in some bar where the music was as dark as her soul. But she was not alone. From the deepest shadows, a pair of eyes burned like embers in the gloom. A man watched her with inhuman stillness. Tall, slender, and wrapped in a long black coat, he moved through the mist as if he were part of it. His skin was alabaster, his features impossibly perfect, sculpted with a precision beyond mortal hands. His hair, black as midnight, cascaded elegantly to his shoulders. As Lilith turned a corner, the figure emerged from the darkness, following her without making a sound. She felt his presence before she saw him. A shiver crawled down her spine, the unmistakable sensation of being hunted. Slowly, she turned, and there he was. He smiled. "Good evening, beautiful," he murmured, his voice like the wind whispering through an abandoned cathedral, deep, enveloping, ancient. Lilith regarded him with a mix of caution and fascination. There was something about him, something that made her want to run and yet stay at the same time. "Good evening," she replied, her tone laced with the defiance of someone unafraid of the dark. He took a step closer. Though he never touched her, she felt the weight of his presence on her skin. "Are you not afraid to walk these streets alone?" he asked, a smirk playing at his lips. "There are creatures that lurk in the night." Lilith tilted her head, amused. "And if I were afraid, what would be the point of the night?" He chuckled softly. "You are different." "I know." A tense silence stretched between them. Lilith felt a strange dizziness, as if gravity itself was bending toward him. His dark eyes trapped her, stripped her bare, but devoured her without laying a single hand on her. "Tell me your name," he whispered. "Lilith." A shadow of a smile crossed his pale lips. A fitting name for a child of the night. Before she could reply, he moved, unnaturally fast. In the blink of an eye, he was behind her, his cold breath grazing her ear. A shudder ran through her body. "Let me show you true darkness." Lilith had no time to react. A sharp pain pierced her neck, forcing a gasp from her lips, a mixture of pleasure and agony. She felt her life being drained in slow, deliberate sips, the warmth of her body slipping away into his hungry mouth. The world spun, her vision blurred. Her breath came in ragged gasps, and an intoxicating dizziness wrapped around her like a lullaby. But then, suddenly, he released her, letting her body sink gently onto the cobblestones. Lilith gasped for air, her body cold, her heart beating erratically. She looked up to find him watching her, his dark satisfaction evident. "Do not be afraid," he murmured, leaning over her. "Death is not the end. It is only the beginning." Lilith felt her throat burn, her skin prickle with an unfamiliar hunger. She raised a trembling hand to her lips and felt the sticky trace of her own blood. Her vision sharpened, the sounds of the night growing unbearably clear, and then a sharp pain in her gums forced her mouth open. She felt them, the fangs. Her fingers clawed at the ground in desperation as her new nature surged through her veins like fire, an insatiable craving consuming her. Her eyes, darker now, more intense, sought his. He extended a hand. "Rise, Lilith. The night calls you." She took it, and in that moment she ceased to be human. The city never noticed her disappearance. But on the coldest nights, when the moon is barely a whisper in the sky, the boldest souls claim to have seen a woman with blood-red hair and crimson lips drifting through the shadows. Her laughter is a whisper in the dark, and her eyes, two endless voids. They say she is looking for company, or perhaps a new prey. The night had its predators, but he was not one of them. He was their architect. From atop a crumbling building, with the moon hanging high in the sky like a blind, watchful eye, Damien von Renz gazed upon the city. His tall, slender silhouette, wrapped in a long, lapelled black coat, was nothing more than a shadow among shadows, a presence the mortal world would never notice, until it was too late. The night wind caressed his dark hair, making it sway like strands of black silk. His eyes, two fathomless abysses, followed the movements of the young woman now wandering the streets, lost in her newfound nature. Lilith. He could feel her. The freshly transformed blood coursed through her veins with the fury of a storm trapped in a bottle. Her senses awakened one by one, as if the universe had torn away a veil of shadows, and suddenly, every secret of the night was laid bare before her. Hunger consumed her from within, an insatiable void no human nourishment could ever satisfy. But she did not understand yet. She did not comprehend what it meant to bear the mark of dark blood. She was not just another vampire, not a mere fledgling doomed to skulk in dark alleyways, feeding on drunks and beggars until she was inevitably hunted down. Lilith was a legacy. There was something in her essence that set her apart. From the first moment he laid eyes on her, he knew the blood within her carried an ancient echo, an affinity with the dark power from which he himself descended. For centuries, he had searched for someone like her, someone worthy of receiving the gift he bore like a curse. Because Damien von Renz was no ordinary vampire. His lineage was far older, far darker than any other. He belonged to the blood of the dark, a direct descendant of Azrael, the angel of death. A fallen archangel who dared to defy the balance between life and death, condemned by God to wander the shadows, forever denied the light of paradise. His children were the first vampires, not turned by bite or ritual, but born from darkness itself. They were more than predators. They were heralds of extinction. But over the centuries, the power of his bloodline had thinned. They were hunted, slaughtered in wars between clans, wiped from existence. And now, only he remained. The last, until now, Damien had watched Lilith long before he ever touched her. He had seen her love for the night, her fascination with the forbidden, the macabre. She was not just another gothic girl wearing lace corsets and stiletto heels for the aesthetic. No, something deeper ran through her soul, something he had recognized instantly. The yearning for eternity. That was why he chose her. The night he bit her, he did so with intent. His blood burned the moment it mingled with hers, as if the universe itself had acknowledged the return of a forgotten lineage. Her transformation was not merely an awakening to mortality, it was a rebirth in darkness. From his vantage point, he watched her move clumsily through the streets. Her red hair, now vibrant under the dim glow of the streetlights, fell in wild waves over her shoulders. Her once pale skin now radiated an eerie luminescence. Her lips, stained with the remnants of her first feast, were twisted in a grimace between confusion and euphoria. He could feel her thoughts, her bewilderment, her fear. The sensation of newfound power was intoxicating, but also terrifying. Every sound in the night was amplified. Every heartbeat within miles pounded in her ears like a war drum. And the hunger never ceased. Damien smirked. Every newborn vampire had to learn to master the beast within. But Lilith was no ordinary vampire. She bore the mark of dark blood, though she did not yet know it. He would let her wander, let her lose herself in her new existence. Let her experience the intoxication of power and the terror of eternity. He would watch from the shadows as she faced her first conscious hunt, as her instincts sharpened, as her humanity crumbled away, piece by piece. Only then would he come for her, because she could not escape her fate. The dark blood had awakened within her, and that meant she no longer belonged to herself. She belonged to him. She belonged to the darkness. Damien closed his eyes, allowing the night wind to carry the scent of his new queen to him. Her blood pulsed through the darkness like a beacon in the storm. Soon, very soon. The moon hung over the city like a dead eye. Lilith stood on the rooftop of an abandoned building, the wind whipping her red hair like flames in the darkness. Below her, the city pulsed, teeming with prey that no longer brought her any pleasure. She wasn't hungry, she was empty, an emptiness that was consuming her from within. For days, her reflection had stopped obeying her. In mirrors, in puddles of dirty water, in the shattered glass of windows, she saw her silhouette moving with a strange delay, sometimes blinking when she did not. And her shadow no longer followed her. It slithered along the walls when she wasn't looking. Some nights, she woke up and saw it sitting at the edge of her bed, watching her. Without eyes, without a face, without humanity. She was losing control of her own body. Or maybe, her body was losing control of her. Damien watched her with the serenity of a sculptor admiring his masterpiece. He had never told her everything. He had never told her the truth about what she was. Lilith, he whispered, walking beside her with the patience of a butcher waiting for the meat to soften. You know what's happening, don't you? She looked at him, her eyes bloodshot. Her once porcelain skin now bore fine cracks, barely visible, as if her body were a mask about to shatter. I'm falling apart, she whispered. Damien smiled. No, you're waking up. A shiver ran down Lilith's spine. Waking up? Normal vampires awaken to immortality when they are turned, he explained, circling her like a predator savoring its prey. You are not a normal vampire. Her blood boiled in her veins. You chose me, but I wasn't just a whim, was I? Of course not. You are a vessel. Lilith felt her throat tighten. A vessel for what? Damien leaned closer, his eyes burning like dying embers. For something that was sealed away centuries ago. Something so feared by the oldest vampires that they chose to hide it inside a human shell. The emptiness within her writhed. Something inside her stirred as if it wanted to speak, as if it wanted out. Damien continued. A being that belongs neither to this world nor the next. Something older than any vampire, hungrier, darker. Something that should never have been awakened. Lilith clutched her head. No, that can't be. But she knew. She had felt it from the moment she first drank blood. From the first time she closed her eyes and saw the faces of the dead trapped inside her. She wasn't just a vampire. She was a cage with a rusted door about to break. That night, when she tried to sleep, she felt something move beneath her skin. She woke up gasping, drenched in cold sweat. Then she saw her hands. Her fingers were longer. Her nails, black as the void, had grown several inches. Her fangs no longer seemed human, but belonged to some prehistoric beast. But the worst part, she couldn't feel her heart. She touched her chest, pressed down. Nothing. And then, something struck from inside. Not like a heartbeat, but like a fist trying to break free. She looked at the broken mirror in the bathroom. Her reflection wasn't looking at her. It was looking at something behind her. And then, It smiled. Lilith screamed and shattered the glass. But when the shards hit the floor, her reflection still stared back at her from every piece, and it whispered, almost time. Damien took her to an abandoned temple, a place the oldest vampires had sealed with blood and fire centuries ago. Lilith could barely stand. Every passing minute, she felt less and less like herself. Even her own breathing sounded foreign. "We have to do this quickly," Damien said, placing Lilith in the center of a circle carved with human bones. "If we don't stop this now, there will be nothing left of you." Lilith felt tears burn in her eyes. How do we stop it?" Damien looked at her with a glint of pity. "By killing you." She fell silent, and then the voice inside her spoke, not in a whisper, not in an echo, but in an infernal roar that shook the entire temple. The walls trembled, the ancient carvings ignited with a crimson glow. Lilith was no longer in control of her own body. Her arms twisted at impossible angles, her bones cracked and reshaped, her skin darkened like ash. The thing inside her was coming out. Damien tried to strike, but Lilith moved too fast, too wild. She grabbed him by the throat and lifted him into the air. But it wasn't her. It was something else using her body. Damien looked at her, and for the first time in his existence, he was afraid. "Lilith," he whispered. She tilted her head, her eyes now completely black. No pupils, no humanity. "Lilith is gone." A chill ran down Damien's spine. He had failed to stop the awakening, and then he felt Lilith's fangs sink into his throat. But this time, she wasn't just drinking his blood. She was stealing his soul. And the last thing he saw before becoming nothing was Lilith's monstrous smile. No longer human, no longer vampire, but something far worse. Something that had waited centuries to be freed. And now, at last, it walked the earth once more.